and welcome to today's episode of Inspired Coach Podcast. I have a wonderful guest for you today, talking about a really wonderful topic as well. And so let's dive in and meet her and then get down a little bit with what it is that we're going to be chatting about. So our guest today is the incredible Sheila Haugh. Sheila is an intuitive self-trust coach who specialises in parts work, attachment repair, and somatic practices that build nervous system resilience. Sheila coaches inside the Recalibration Method, the signature program of nervous system and breathwork expert Masha Kay, helping high achievers set goals that honour their capacity and nervous system. Sheila also works within Sabrina Zohar's community, creator of the Sabrina Zohar Show, where Sheila supports clients in shifting their relationship patterns and rebuilding self-trust. Sheila is also a wonderful certified coach within our own Beautiful You Coaching Academy community. Now, the mention in Sheila's introduction to you today of both of those incredible people that she works with is very relevant to the topic that we're talking about today. And that topic is working for someone else as a coach. Now, we know that most people, if you are either a coach right now or one that's contemplating becoming one in the future, you likely are thinking that either the only way or one of the only ways you can work is in a business on your own, generating your own clients. And that is absolutely an incredible path that most coaches take. It certainly was the one that I took. However, it is not the only one that you can take as a coach. There are, in fact, many ways that you can use your skills as a coach, and that includes working for other amazing people and other amazing coaches. And Sheila is here today to share her journey of how she is using her coaching skills working for another coach, and how she's loving it, and it's a huge part of her life and business while she has her own business as well. And so this is an amazing potential area of exploration for those of you who are thinking to yourself, what else might there be here as a possibility for me if I don't necessarily only want to work on my own as my own, and what opportunities might be potentially available for me and exploring as a coach working for someone else. Well, this is so exciting. Sheila Haugh, welcome to Inspired Coach Podcast. I'm incredibly excited to have you on as our guest today.
Thank you so much, Julie. I am also very excited to be here. It's such an honor. I've listened to Inspired Coach Podcast for so long, so I am just thrilled to be here with you.
Sheila, I know that this episode today is going to be one that is going to be a real eye-opener for a lot of coaches who are already out there practicing as a coach and running their own business, but also for those as well who are very fresh and new and emerging and maybe are training or thinking about becoming a life coach too. And the topic that we're here to talk about today in this expert interview is about working as a coach for someone else. So we know that many people potentially think that the only way to be a coach is if you do it in your own business, and the way that you get paid is that your clients pay you. However, there are other ways that we can earn an abundant, wonderful living as a coach, and that includes by being a coach in service to other businesses, other coaches, basically as a job, like that we can do that. And that is something that you do. And so I would love for you to start out by telling us the story of how it is that you have come to work as a coach for another wonderful coach.
Yes, Julie. So I work for Masha Kay in her program, the Mind Body Recalibration. And I had actually worked with her for about a year prior to signing up to her program. And during the time that we worked together, we really got to know each other. And by the time the program came around, I had asked if she needed any support in any way, if she needed some VA work. And so after doing that, I started to work with her on small projects to start off with. And then I was really able to show her some of my skills. And so it sort of happened really organically in the sense that I didn't know that this was even available for coaches. I had no idea how to really get my first clients at all. And so I sort of just followed the breadcrumbs, if you will.
I love that. And you know what, Sheila, something else that I also love that I would like to talk about a little bit further actually is that you approached Masha. Now that's not something I knew, and I love to hear this because, folks, I'm here to tell you that when it comes to this area of potential for yourself as a coach, you're not necessarily going to find these jobs in the job section of the online advertising world, right? So you actually decided to approach Masha and said, do you need assistance of any kind?
Yes. So funny story, as we were getting to the end of our coaching series together, it was like a mini group coaching series, she had asked me if I wanted to go ahead and join her program. And I'm like, Masha, I spent all my money on you. I would love to be a part of it. I don't want to end this with you. What if I supported you in VA, video editing, and I just started listing all of the things that I could do to support her because I really didn't want to stop being around her, working with her, and just having her in my orbit.
Yeah, wonderful. So you obviously felt a really wonderful connection with this person who was your coach and then decided to just put it out there. And as a result of that, obviously she said some form of yes.
Yes. And I have to say it wasn't a paid gig right away. I didn't sign on to be a coach right away. It was just doing what I could here and there. And then every month we would have these meetings where we're brainstorming. So she was sort of my mentor. I was sort of oh, here's what I'm hearing from these students. Here's what I'm noticing with these clients. So I was sort of like a second pair of eyes to her and really also helping her to see from a different perspective what was going on in her course.
Yeah, which is a great skill as a coach, and since that period of time, you have gone on to train with us here at the Beautiful You Coaching Academy and expanded your skills even further. And your work with Masha has now very much deepened since that period of time to have reached a point where you are now actually coaching clients in Masha's program, aren't you? You're not just educating or training, but you're hosting and holding space with them one-on-one by yourself. So tell us a little bit more about how that looks for you.
Yeah, so before I graduated from Beautiful You, I was still very, very new to coaching. I was almost afraid of clients. I didn't want to disappoint anyone. I didn't know how to really hold a session. And so after doing my coaching buddy series and after graduating, I got a little bit more confident and I proposed to Masha, hey, I would like to take on a few more hours with coaching clients. And so we offered that, and she allowed me to work as much or as little as I wanted to. And so I had actually, after I graduated, I had all this confidence. I had the whole thing that I learned from Beautiful You, and I set a goal for myself to get 100 hours of coaching experience. And I just focused on that for the first 3 or 4 months, just doing the series that I was taught, just doing the that series that I was taught, and getting really good at that. And so after those first few months, I started to add a little bit more time into group classes, holding group classes for people, holding space for more than one person at a time, and just challenging myself wherever it felt a little stretchy, just month by month, figuring out where does it feel like my energy is really strong, and then where can I also stretch myself.
I love that. And so that continual expansion. I also absolutely love, and I think that this is a really, really important point to make here for everyone who is listening, is that you are now a coach in a program that you took yourself, and so therefore you have had a direct, lived and embodied experience of it from a personal development perspective. But alongside of that, and with that, you have trained as a coach in a completely different business and with a completely different model, and yet you have been able to marry and bring those things together in someone else's business. And I think that this is a really important thing for everybody to know on 2 different levels. First of all, if you want to be a part of something at a higher level, guess what, folks? You're going to need to invest in it and do it yourself. And secondly, the passion that we have as coaches for learning and personal and professional development opens up opportunities for us in so many different ways. It doesn't narrow them into us only being able to do things with people we've studied with or undertaken things with. It actually can positively influence us in many ways, can't it, Sheila?
Absolutely. Not only did it give me the skills that I wanted to start working with clients one-on-one and getting over that hump, I got to do a ton of discovery calls, and I got to brainstorm new programs. I got to learn how to launch. I got to just create more and build on my current skill sets and learn other modalities. So when Masha would coach, I could hear her coaching in some of the group settings, group rooms, and I would learn from that, and then I would see how her clients responded to that versus responding to me. And there's just so much richness there where you really can see all of these different opportunities for you to flourish as a coach in a safe environment, because you are familiar with the community, you're familiar with the program, you're familiar with how everything goes and how things really unfold for clients, that you have that space to explore and to play around with all of the things that you can add into the experience.
Absolutely. And you've also just got that grounding, like confidence comes from usually the way that it works for most of us. In fact, I think it's the way it works for all of us, is doing something again and again and engaging our self-awareness to think about what can I do better, where did I do well, and how can I celebrate myself, how can I continue to expand. But there has to be a baseline foundation somewhere. And so I want to take this moment to deliver a little community service announcement, a CSA, to everybody out there that might be listening. And that is that it just makes direct common sense that if you do wish to be a coach and work for someone else in a particular program that they may have, just like Sheila does with Masha, or our trainers here at Beautiful You do with us, you have to invest in taking that program to begin with. We get contacted by coaches from many different fields all the time that say, I'd love to be one of your trainers. And the very first thing that we say to them, which in truth sometimes we get pushback about, is we say, you need to do the course first. Because you can't teach, train, or a coach in something that you're not embodied in yourself. And it's fascinating to me that some people don't get that.
Yeah. We've had a few people also ask to just join in without having taken the course. And it's like, I commend people for that courage and for that, go get 'em spirit. But there really is such a difference between someone who's embodied something for over a year, for me, right? Seeing other people go through the program, know what the pacing is, know what to expect, especially because the program that I work in is around the nervous system, right? And a lot of our students, a lot of our clients come in very highly dysregulated, and there's a lot of sensitive topics that come up. And so just taking a, life course training is great, but that was just a general thing. Alongside this, I'm also reading about attachment styles. I'm also taking courses in parts work for coaches, and then also learning about polyvagal theory. And so I'm making sure that I'm showing up as a space holder and as an informed practitioner, if you will.
Absolutely. And I love that. And I just think it is such an important message to get across, in this interview. Sheila, I also know that you have your own business and your own website, and you accept clients that come to you privately as well. I would love to ask you, because I know that this will be something that is really fascinating to people to hear more about. What do you really like about working for someone else, or what's really different about that for you as a coach with having your own private clients? Because it is significantly different. I mean, essentially, Masha is your client, I suppose, in a way. But it is a very different thing because you are a coach with her ongoing. And so what is it that appeals to you about that, like working with someone else as a coach?
What I've really noticed come up for me is that in the beginning, as an emerging coach, there's so many insecurities that come up. Are they going to like me? Did I do a good job? Am I doing this right? And so working for someone else really gives me this foundation, this stability, where I don't really have to worry so much about that. I mean, I do in a sense, like I do need to show up and be present, but I don't need to worry so much about me, and I can focus on the client. When you're just starting out, you don't know what your niche is. You don't know if your first few clients are really aligned or not. You don't know where your business is going to go because it's still in the very beginning stages and you're still exploring. There's a lot of things going on there. And so if you put that on top of just being new to coaching in general, it can become very overwhelming, very dysregulating very quickly. I remember getting on Instagram, doing a live, and 2 people showed up and I made it be about me. And it made it so hard to come back, or I put out an offer and thought it was so great and nobody signed up and made it about me again. But when you start working for someone else, you really just go straight into the skills because it's all there for you. The work is there. The people are there. They need to be served. And so you start to build that skill, that capacity to hold space and the confidence in yourself and in your abilities, right? And that's not to say that I won't have to deal with some of those things that come up later when I do start to focus on my own business. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that there is another way to go about this. And there's so many things that support me in my nervous system when the work is already there and I'm serving and I see the transformation happening.
Yeah, beautiful. That is such a rich answer. And I know that there will be people listening right now that will be thinking, okay, this could be an option for me. This sounds like it's got legs, that it has real potential. Sheila, one of the reasons that people do come into coaching sometimes and wanting to own their own business is because they have a bit of a free spirit. They don't want to turn up and work for anyone else anymore, if that's something they've done previously. Maybe they're just over the environment or the career industry they've previously been in, and or simply they don't necessarily want to take instruction from anybody else anymore. They're done with that. Tell us a little bit about that for you, because of course you are working for Masha, even though that is as a coach. She's still she's your boss, she's your manager, and so you are working not just for yourself but someone else. Does that work for you? I mean, obviously it does to some extent, but tell us how that sits with you as a coach.
You know, Julie, this answer might surprise you a little bit, but because you just said it right there, where coaches who go into business and work for themselves want to get away from that. So I've been very, very lucky and fortunate that Masha understands that. We had that understanding about each other. And so she will ask me actually to bring in structure for her, because in since she is it as well. And so I create the structure for the both of us, and that will create space for us to both to allow us both to be free-spirited, if you will. So that being said, there are deadlines, right? There are numbers that need to be met, or I guess, yeah, we do have goals in the business, right? But with everything else, the goals are almost what drives us forward, and it doesn't feel heavy to me because we have this energetic understanding that the business is there as a separate entity that supports us, but then also we want to support it. And so when it starts to get heavy, we check in with each other like, hold on a minute, we're teaching nervous system regulation. We wanted to get into this so that we didn't have to hustle and work, all hours of the day. Where can we, I guess, tweak and fine-tune this approach? And so I've just been very, very fortunate to have found somebody who understands how I work. And I think that that's what's made this this agreement between us last, as long as it has, and continues to grow and nurture both of us.
Yeah, that's so, so wonderful, and ultimately incredibly important, because even I'm sure there are people out there that know that even if you're working from home, and even if it may seem on the surface that you have a lot of independence or a lot of leeway in what you can do, that does not then necessarily mean that there isn't enormous pressure when working for someone else, and there aren't very high expectations and sometimes unrealistic expectations. And that, of course, can happen in any industry, any role, any job. So it is about finding the right match between you and a business, you and a person. Super important. Sheila, I'd love to ask you now to tell us a little bit more about the actual coaching that you do in Masha's program. Obviously with full respect to confidentiality, but am I right in saying that you do both group coaching and one-on-one? Is that right?
Yeah, I do group coaching. I do embodiment sessions. So this is done by weekly, and I bring in meditation or somatic movements, or even just conversations where we get together as a group and hold space for each other and attune to each other's nervous systems. So that's one aspect of the coaching that I bring. And then the other, I also bring in the accountability sessions, which is so incredibly important. It is, I think, not given that glamorous kind of people don't think of it as a glamorous thing, but it's foundational. You really need to show up for yourself every 2 weeks and see that you're making progress, or if you're not making progress, see why not, right? So that's an important part of my work. And then I also do deep dive coaching. So these are one-on-ones. And this is where I've done, the extra parts work for coaches, training, and continue to develop my skills in more trauma-informed modalities. And that's where I really work with clients and looking a little bit deeper into the blocks that are coming up or the stories that they're telling themselves, and really facilitating this relationship that they can start to cultivate with themselves.
Beautiful. It sounds so varied. It sounds like, tell us a little bit more about that, because sometimes, of course, one of the things that some people can be concerned about, especially with that free spirit that runs through many coaches, is they can think they're going to get boxed in if they work for someone else, and that if they're not completely doing it alone, that somehow or another that means they'll be, sort of pushed into doing the same thing or a very similar thing over and over again. But it actually sounds like, based on what you're saying, that in fact there is a lot of variety in what you do.
There absolutely is. I love it. It keeps things fresh for me. And the thing is, when you go through a program like the Mind Body Recalibration program or even VICA, you know firsthand what it's like to go through it. You know what it feels like. You know what really hits. You know what really resonates. And so that's what I did. When I took the program, I'm like, you know what? I really want to go deeper into this, right? I want to really explore this. And so I took pieces of different phases that is in the program, and I did my research and I practiced with clients. And since there's no expectation, because I'm not limited to just, 6 sessions in my package, I've got 6 months to really practice and hone in what works for clients and what doesn't. That has just been a really great way to explore and expand the value that we're giving to our clients.
I love it. It just sounds like for you right now, and tell me I'm wrong, but and I can even see it in your beautiful face and the way that you're smiling and expressing yourself. It just sounds like it's the most perfect role for you.
It really is, Julie. I almost have to pinch myself when I look at my calendar and I see what I have to do, because when I start to get kind of like, oh, okay, I have to do, a lot of one-on-ones. Then I see, oh no, I've got goal setting session with the group, or I've got connection session. And so then I can start to really just shift my focus, and that's allowed for this sense of play to come out, which has made this so incredibly enjoyable and so incredibly educational as well. Just knowing what I like to do and maybe what I'm not that skilled at and what I might need to develop a little bit further.
Beautiful. I love it. Sheila, for anybody who is listening right now and is thinking to themselves, okay, I'm inspired. I think I would like to genuinely open myself up to the potential of maybe not just having my own business, or even completely, I don't want my own business anymore. I want to work as a coach for someone else. What do you think are some of the foundational things that would be important for them to look at?
I would say the first thing is just knowing that it is absolutely okay to not start off having your own business right away. Totally okay. For a little while, I thought, oh, maybe I'm not doing it the right way. Maybe this is me taking the easy way out. Or I just sort of came up with these stories to sort of feel bad about the way that I was going about things, because you don't see it talked about often in social media. You just see everyone being like, be your own boss and build this thing for yourself. And so I think with that, you start to internalize this message that unless you're working for yourself, you're trapped, right? But I think the mindset or the perspective that I'd like to offer here is that you're only trapped if you see it that way. Or you could see this as an opportunity to not only serve right away for me, not only serve a community that already needs that, and another business owner who needs that support, you're also giving yourself that stability, that kind of safe space to continue to learn and grow. So that's the first thing. The second thing is to really show up with a spirit of generosity. Okay, so I didn't just go to Masha and that's it. I signed up for a lot of different programs. I met with a lot of different business owners, not necessarily to go fishing for who I can work with, but I was wanting to develop deeper connections with people in the industry. And so whenever I could, I would show up to different things and see, like, could I see myself working alongside this person? Could I see myself serving this community? Could I see myself doing what this person does? Does it intrigue me? Right? And so if that was a yes for me, then I would show up and continue to engage with that person, get to know them a little further, sign up for their whatever offers I could. So just really showing up with a spirit of openness and generosity. Every step you take, I believe, can serve you, right? So, yeah, it's definitely like a long range view. It might not serve you right away, but you would be surprised at the momentum and the energy that you build around yourself. And I thought I had a third one, but I maybe don't.
That's okay, because I think with those two that you've mentioned, they're so deep. Like, you've just given the surface of them there in what is our interview time together, but actually the richness and the potential actions and way forward that come underneath that for everyone who may be interested in exploring this for themselves is really profound. So Sheila, thank you so very much for being with us today. We are just so thrilled to have you as a part of our alumni, and to be someone, like, I just love knowing that you're out there working for another coach and for another business with some of the coaching skills that we have taught you, combined with, of course, what you have learned from Masha and many other courses as well. And if that's you out there in our community and you're a coach that's doing work with others right now, so much love and blessings to you, because your work is just as important, and that work is just as important as anybody that may be attracting clients directly into their business one-on-one. I just think it's amazing, and I think you're amazing, and so thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Julie. This was such a pleasure.